that is the creativity of a person. When a person could just look at something and just create something out of thin air. I believe God gives people the ability to do this, even though they don't think so. Because I think that how can I sit down and write a story so out of the world or out, just write a story. And so, I mean, some of the times when I read back some of the words that I've written, I'm like, wow, I wrote that. you know, it's very, very interesting. And then when I get into it, my imagination just opens up, and I use words that we don't use anymore. I try to find words that mean the same thing that we don't use anymore in our normal vocabulary. So it looks authentic, but it actually isn't. And then I twist words a little bit, take one word and take off a letter, add a letter, splice things around, and come up with my own words. So creativity is I would say it is a God's gift. It is God's gift, to man, because there is no way we as human beings could even comprehend some of this stuff. I can't do what you do. You can't do what I do. So it takes a bunch of people to come together to have this creativity in order to make things flourish, bloom. So that's
Yeah.
my take on it.
Oh my gosh. I want to welcome you to Dream Chasers Radio with me, your host, the Diamond. Hello, people. How you doing? Authors. Let me tell you something. Without authors, we're all dumb.
True.
It's stupid. Might as well just throw in the towel. You're an idiot. And so am I and everybody else around you. we need authors, guys. If you haven't written that book and you know you're supposed to, what are you waiting for? I mean, literally just start. Okay. There's so many ways to edit it. Just do it. Edit it later. Get the thought out of your brain. You're going to be happy you did. And I have an author on the show today, and he's got the name. And I want to go into why he has the name in a minute, because he has the name, and I'll tell him why, because he doesn't even know. But he is an amazing author. He creates his own words, as you already know, okay? Plus, he uses words that we haven't used in a while. And I have to be pensive about this. But I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Yes. But I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. And we have a great show for you today. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. I want to welcome you back to the show, and I want to welcome Anthony to the show. Now, Anthony doesn't understand that his first name is actually the name of my stepfather, who was an amazing writer in his own capabilities, I should say, writing for many, many groups that you've probably already heard for, and actually touring the world as a keyboard player and a writer. So he did so many things. He lost his battle with cancer a couple of years ago, but he will always be a part of my life. And Anthony, you got the name, man. So, and I already know you have the personality. So,
well, thank you. First, I want to say my condolences to your father and everything like that. And I just want to thank you for giving me this opportunity. It's nerve-wracking, but it's an interesting. I look at everything that you do as an adventure, and the more you go out on the adventure, the more you realize who you are as a person. I think that's just me.
That's right. And I always have to have this around. So no one knew that I had these little words around, but I do have over here. I have brave, strong, boss. And I have to remind myself that I'm brave, I'm strong, and I'm a boss.
Yes, you are.
Day. Because if I don't, I'll be wimpy, idiot, stupid.
Um, a f- oh God, a couple of years ago, me and a friend, we was talking about something, and I told him that some people are so intelligent that they don't know that they're stupid. And he looked at me, was like, whoa, that's deep.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
always say I don't know anything.
Yes, yes. That is the best way to go about doing things. When I started writing at the age of 16, and I just wrote, and I wrote several different stories. Not all of them were completed, but I wrote. And it wasn't until years later when when I was writing this story now, The Prophecy of a Planet, and I took it to uh, the school for Frederick Douglass School for Creative Arts in Manhattan. So I went there and I took the first course there, and they asked to bring your first page of your manuscript. So everybody did that. And when it came to mine, I mean, they ripped apart everybody's manuscript. But when it came to mine, there were so many red marks, and like the first line was like, it looked like Mars. It was so red.
Oh
I
my
had to
God.
I had to re-examine myself and say, wow, took everything that she said at the time and revamped the entire storyline. So and I mean, over the years, I've went to seminars, listened on Zoom and other seminars here and there, and um, slowly I started to get my voice. And now this is the result of my voice.
Wow. Wow. A lot of people would have given up. I mean, so many red marks. Come on, am I that bad?
Yes, yes, yes. Trust me, that thought has crossed me. But then um, I I talk to a couple of boys in my church, and when I tell them that the only person in the mirror the only person that can stop you from doing what you want to do is a person looking you in the mirror. And I sat down and I thought about what I said, and I was like, how can I tell them this? And I turn around and quit myself. So I just, okay, went somewhere, closed the door. I cried, I yelled, I screamed, I threw stuff and took a deep breath and said, okay, in 2 days, we'll start all over again.
In 2 days. Why 2 days?
Well, because well, actually, sometimes a little bit longer than 2 days, but everybody's different. It takes me a little bit of while to get over myself and realize that, okay, you're acting stupid. All right,
Mm,
wake up, smell the coffee. Let's go back to work.
right.
And every
Yeah, I
time,
need 2 days. I
uh,
don't give myself 2 days.
how many days do you give yourself?
I don't give myself even a day. I'm right back in it. Because
Well, no.
if I don't, I don't go back to it. That's my problem.
Oh,
My
okay.
problem is
Again,
I gotta jump back in.
okay.
Failure is not an option because if I let myself just simmer in it for 2 days, I'm not doing it.
Got you. Got you. Now, the thing is, like I said, not everybody is the same. Some people have to get back in it right away. Me, if I was to get back in it right away, I will end up in the same scenario that I started it and be like, you know what, I'm wasting my time. This is the way. Oh, you know what? Let me just stop.
Mm,
So I need the 2 days to just unwind, relax. I watch TV. I watch all kind of sci-fi and cartoons and whatever. Relax the mind. Once I relax my mind, then the little key turns on and the engine starts to move. And then all of a sudden, their creativity starts to like, yo, wait a minute, you could act, you can do this, and you can do this. And all of a sudden, I'm back writing again.
mm.
So Everybody's different.
Yeah. If I do need a break though, roller coasters are my thing. Sorry.
Nope. Yeah. Been there, done that. Ain't going back. No.
I love it. Like, I love roller coasters. Like the ones that go up and down that you feel like you're gonna like lose your stomach on that. I love that. I love the ones that go upside down. I love it. Like Velocicoaster, they go 70 miles an hour.
Okay, I will do the upside down, the twist, but the going all the way up and coming straight down, that's like a free fall. No, that's
Yeah.
that
Okay.
one,
Okay.
whoa.
You got to get over that one. That one is fun. I'm
Yeah,
sorry. I'm
I
sorry.
no, I the thing is, a lot of people love that part. It scares the living hell out of me. It's going
Well, you
down.
see, I won't do the ones that go straight up and I won't go do the ones that go straight down. It's just like a straight up and straight down thing. I won't do that. But I
Okay.
will do the roller coaster that kind of has maybe one or two of those. I could do
Oh,
that. I
have
could do
you ever been to Coney Island?
I haven't, you know what? I have not. I didn't even go when I lived there. No.
Okay. I've been to Coney Island and I've been on that roller coaster on Coney Island.
Mm.
That roller coaster was no joke. It went
Yeah.
up and straight down. Okay.
Oh, Busch
Any New
Gardens does
Yorker
that.
know.
Shikra.
Yeah.
Shikra. It's
And then
90. It's inverted though. It's
yeah.
instead of it going straight down, it goes in like this. My favorite.
Wow. Oh no.
Ah.
So your head feel like you're gonna hit the ground.
No, it kind of does this and then it scoops you and it's like so cool.
Wow. I don't know. I would have to do a lot of praying to get on that.
But then you can write a book afterwards.
Oh, well, yeah, very shaky book. I'd have to that would take me 5 days to get my body back to cool. Sorry.
Subject, but the subject would be that if you're so drawn out and so perplexed about what just occurred and maybe you are discouraged, maybe a getaway might be the answer, just so that you can take your mind off of it so that
Yeah,
when you come back you feel fresh and
that
ready
is
to do it.
that's true. That's true. That's why sometimes we go away with take trips. I love driving. Driving, um, it's I get a kick out of driving. One of the reasons is the road opens up to me and my imagination goes crazy. I have actually stopped my car off the side of a highway just to write down notes that that I came up with for my stories. You
No,
know, so
yeah, I thought I was weird.
oh no, 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 no.
No.
I'm a little bit. I have been
Because
told
that's
that my
dangerous though. You got to pee. Can you not pull off to the side of the freeway though? Like get off
yeah,
at the next exit or something? Because you're
well,
scaring me.
okay, well, okay. So to let you know, one time when I was driving on the turnpike, uh, I think it was US 75. It was the turnpike. It's right next to the turnpike. Okay, I 75. Sorry. So I'm driving there, and the good thing it was nighttime, so there
Mhm.
wasn't a lot of traffic on the road.
I got you.
And then the idea hit me. I had my book right next to me, and yes, I started writing. I never stopped though, but
Okay.
I got to where
Well,
I
you
need to
can
get.
write. You don't have to be on the line to write. You can just kind of write across without even looking
Exactly.
at it. Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Exactly.
That's true. So
Yeah.
as long as you're safe doing it, then I'm okay.
Yes. Oh yeah. Trust
Yeah.
me. I made sure the road was straight, no cars behind me, no cars in front of me, and I slowed the car down and let the car just roll.
Hmm.
And I just wrote with my I basically, you know how you write. Well, I
Yeah.
can't. Yeah.
Yeah. I got you. I got you. I got you. Wow. So you are inspired by openness.
Yes.
That is
Yes.
so cool. When did you find this out? I mean, everybody's inspired by something. And I haven't had anyone on the show yet that told me that they are inspired by driving within the elements.
Wow. Okay. I don't know what to say on that one. I um okay, when I was younger, right, I grew up on comic books, a lot of comic books, Marvel. I love Marvel, love DC. Then yes, and then Image came around, and when Image came around, I jumped right on the bandwagon. You understand? I was an Image person. Um, the only okay, so and I watched all the Star Wars, any kind of um Babylon 5. A lot of people don't watch that, but I love me some Babylon 5. Stargate. I'm a Trekkie. Any Trekkies out there? Yo, hey, holla. So I'm into sci-fi. So reading a lot of the comic books, that's what actually started me out. And what I noticed with what Stan Lee used to do was in the comic books, the story would start with, like, say, the X-Men, and then in the middle of it, he drops a character out of nowhere without explaining where the character came from. Later on during the series, they started to do that. And then the character would drop in and then disappear. And then you're like, well, who is this guy? Where did he come from? And then even though they explained some of it, it wasn't enough for you to actually grab a hold of the character. So I didn't like that part of the comic books. So when I started to write, I said I wanted to do something out of the norm, completely different that has never been done before. And I started first. When I started writing, I was doing the normal, like archaea, humans, decans, elves, dwarves, that kind of stuff and everything. And a friend of mine said to me, well, why would you do this? And I said, because I like the storylines and everything. She's like, well, why don't you just come up with your own stuff? You got the mind, just twist it a little bit. So I said to her, I said, okay. So I went back to the drawing board and came up with the story you see now. And when I showed it to her, she was like, this is what I'm talking about. So she said, go back and write some more.
Well, at least she didn't give you any red marks.
Yes. Oh, no,
Yeah.
she didn't give me no red mark. Well, not at the time, but later on she did. Yeah. But people, I listen to people when they talk. I watch people on the bus. When I was living in New York, I used to work in Manhattan. So going from Manhattan, Queens to Manhattan, I used to jump on a train and I used to watch people's actions, how they reacted to other people, how they moved, what they did, if they said anything. I just watched and took their personalities and put it in the stories. And that, I mean, people have told me, asked me basically, how in the world were you able to have so many characters and never mix them up? You know, I started writing Prophecy of a Planet. When I got stuck writing Prophecy of a Planet, I started my children's story, David and the Wizard. And in between that, I was writing Conflict of Interest. And then I jumped back to Tree Dwellers, which is another children's story. Then I went to another story. I finished Prophecy 1, 2, 3, 4, Conflict of Interest, and David and the Wizard all around the same time without mixing up their personalities in the stories. Question, how in the world did I do that?
Please.
Answer, the man upstairs. God. I could not do this myself. Seriously, I could not. Sometimes I sit down and I have to thank God because I wonder, wow, did that just hit me? And then I have to sit down. This morning, like I said, I got up at 6 o'clock this morning, right? And I tried to go back to sleep. And
Yeah, I did.
about 6:30, I jumped out of my bed and went to my book and wrote down a piece that I put into the story. It just came to me this morning, and I took that piece and I put it into the story today. So,
Wow.
yeah. So God moves. Trust me.
Wow. Wow. You know, it's so interesting. Like, okay, so you get up, you write I mean, you are motivated to write. When you
Yes.
get stuck, you start something different. I have
Yes.
never had anyone tell me, oh yeah, you know, they say, oh yeah, I spent 2 years on this one book.
Oh,
But you can, how many books in 2 years can you pump out? I mean, literally speaking, don't even answer that question because that's just a rhetorical question. But I literally say, I mean, you know, there is really no excuse for us not to be writing multiple books if we can handle 2 at a time, especially since if we get stuck in one, we can write another one. And maybe that other one is just a distraction. Maybe it's not even a book. Maybe
yes.
it's a distraction to keep you from being stuck. And then you get the idea, you can move on with the next
Exactly.
whatever for your book. So, I
Yes.
mean, couldn't that be kind of like a therapeutic way of not getting stuck?
Yes.
Mm,
Yes. You hit it right on the nose, right on the nose. Because think about it now. If you're writing one story, like people that spend 2 years writing one story, right? Okay. If you take that one story and take two of the characters or one of the characters and just write about that one character, that one character will develop a bunch of other characters because the character can't talk to themselves. So you're developing that character and then you're explaining what I look at it like you ask the question and then you have to explain the answer. So as your character is developing, as you're writing the character, your question is, who is this character? Then you have to write the answer who this character is. Does he have a mother? Does he have a father? Is it a he? Is it a she? Fat, long, black, white, Chinese, Puerto Rican? You got to answer these questions. You understand? And once you get your answer, you start to create the story. Once the story start being creative, the story basically, you know the old expression that the story takes a life of its own. Once you start the ball moving, the story just birth. And that is a beautiful thing.
now, see, you got me.
I'm sorry. Sorry.
It didn't knock me out, knock me silly, knock me down, smack me to the back of my head. Like, I feel like as if I've been hit a few times
I'm
because
sorry.
but literally, I have never encountered someone that actually said, maybe they never said it, but
Mhm,
but maybe they did it, but they didn't say it on the show. But
mhm.
listen to this. I got about, and I love writing, but I
Okay.
got about 5 different stories going, and I felt so bad, and just so like, no, you got to focus on one. I literally cannot focus on one story at a time, but I
Wow.
can do about 5 or 6 of them at a time and
Yeah.
complete them simultaneously. And I thought I was crazy.
No, no, no.
I thought I
I,
was a little psycho.
oh, no. No, 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 no. What that is, I believe that is your creative overflow.
I got plenty of it.
So do I. So do I. Okay. Right now, right now,
Right.
I just finished book 4. I am rewriting book 5. I have ideas for book 6, and I'm working on 2 separate novels right now.
Am I going to
And
be in one of your books?
I
Am I
didn't hear
going to
you.
be one of probably my character? It's going to be like, this crazy black girl just came up to me.
Oh, well, you need to read some of my stories. I got some serious crazy people up in my stories.
Yeah.
So I like I said, I like bubbly people, and I take different um auras, and when you put them together, it's like you take a bunch of people, put them in a pot, and stir the pot, and then see what happens, you know. And then you get the crazy ones, you get the likable ones, you get the not so interesting ones, you get the good looking ones, and then you get the boring ones. You know? And you take all of them, you put them together, and you create a story out of them.
Wow. I love that. And you freed me a little bit. I think you probably freed a lot of people because people think that you have to focus on one thing at a time. But if your brain doesn't work like that, it just doesn't work like that. Maybe you can be a multitasker, and do different stories, you have different ideas. What say you to those people who have been stumbled over their own 2 feet, thinking that they were abnormal? In all retrospect, they are pretty much normal.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you when I started writing, I was writing like what you said, 4 or 5 different stories at one time, and then started reading and started to educate myself. And they would say, well, you do one story, you take 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, and then you write as much as you can, and then you go back and then you check it later on, or you continue, but you're still on that one story. My idea, my philosophy is if I'm writing a story and I get stuck in that story, I'll start writing another story. That story, the second story that I am writing, like I was telling you before, I wrote Prophecy of a Planet, the entire series at first. And while I was writing the story, I was getting stuck, like what writer's block. So I started writing. David and the Wizard started. I went to a class for my sister's boyfriend, and he wanted me to sit in on the class. He was teaching computers, and he wanted me to sit on the class to make it look like there's a lot of people in the class. So I said, okay, no problem. So I sat in on the class, and he was most of the stuff he was teaching I already know. So I was just going along with the program, and I sat in the back and let the rail students sit up front. And as it's going along, he said, okay, just write something. And I was like, what do you mean write something? He's like, just write anything that comes to your mind. And just because he was teaching us he was teaching them how to use Microsoft Word and how to use the editing and the whole 9 yards. So I sat there and birthed David and the Wizard, the
Wow.
children's story. Conflict of interest, that one was birthed in a bar. 3 of us after work, we came from work. It was a long day. This is in Brooklyn. And we came home. One of the guys was like, let's go to my neighborhood bar for a little drink. He's buying. We was like, all right, no problem. So as we're at the bar, he said, yo, Barry, is there any way that you can write a story that has to do with this, and maybe if they go back in time and then come back and forth and see what you can. And I was like, well, maybe. So I said, give me some ideas. I asked the bartender for a piece of paper, like not tissue, and I had a pen. And as they talked, I started writing. And I remember at this time, I was still working on Prophecy of a Planet, and I was still working on David and the Wizard. As they're talking, I wrote. When I went home that afternoon, I stayed up till about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I wrote over 20 pages in that story.
My goodness.
So
Wow.
you don't have to get stuck on one book. Use your imagination to create. That's what you got it for. If you're not a creator, if you're not everybody can create in different ways. Some people draw, some people make things, some people do all kind of stuff. The whole idea is to use your imagination and create. If God gave you that ability and you don't use it, it's almost like burying it in the ground. It don't go nowhere. It don't grow, and you get stagnant. And a lot of stagnant people, they either commit suicide, they turn out to be serial killers or something off the wall, somewhere like that.
Wow. Wow.
So
You're right.
yeah,
Wow. Wow. You're right. We do have to use our creativity and and to its fullest,
yeah.
especially ADHD people. I mean, and autism. I mean, my
Yeah.
goodness, the brains on these children, I mean, they are geniuses. Geniuses.
Let me tell you, I have two nephews are autism.
Mm.
Okay, and I visit them last year, the ending of last year, and they were driving little cars that made out of paper up and down the place, and I said, okay. I asked their mother, how do how do they make the cars? And she said, well, they just create them. I'm like, what do you mean? They actually print the paper, cut out the pieces, tape it together. When you look at, and they color it. When you look at what they have done, I was flabbergasted. I was like, blew my mind. Impressed. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. When you cannot tell me that these kids were artists.
Right.
You understand? Because of what they do. And it's, like I said, everybody is born with creativity. Everybody. Even the animals, if you think about it for a little bit, all right? Let's take a wolf pack. I love wolves. So let's take the wolf pack, okay? A wolf pack, even lions do the same thing. A wolf pack will chase down, two of them will chase down their prey straight ahead, while the others go around and catch them from the side. You understand? While he's being distracted from the ones on the side, the ones on the back jumps and takes them down. Lions do the same thing. You understand? The creativity, it's there. You just have to open your mind to see it. Yeah, that's
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So let's talk about your book. You have more than one book.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we need to talk about them, and then the latest one.
Okay.
So you. I know. I don't know you, but I kind of know you. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, I got about 12 books going right now, and I got about
Yes,
55 books written. I mean, it's kind of like, is
I
that? I mean,
know.
1 year passes by for you, and it's like, oh man, I didn't do 12 books. I only did 11.
I watched some people when what's his name just came out with a book last year. He's oh God, his name will come back to me. But anyway, so he just came out with a book last year. But it's like every year he would come out with a book. You understand? So I'm like, okay, so if you actually do a book a year, that means you spend your entire year thinking about just that one story. But the thing is, what happens? You do the story, then you end it, and then you do another story. But you're constantly rethinking to do new stories. You understand? What Prophecy of a Planet, it started out as a one novel. I had a friend of mine read it, and he said, there's too many missing parts to this. This isn't explained here, this isn't explained, you need to do this, you need to do that. So I said, okay, went back to the drawing board and did exactly what he said. I took the first pages, which was 25 pages of the first chapter of the original Prophecy of a Planet. When I was done, I had over 50 something pages. I took the first paragraph and wrote 5 pages. I put it to you like that. One paragraph, and I wrote 5 pages with that one paragraph. Listening to what he told me, and putting what he said into the story.
Oh,
It extended it five pages.
wow.
So when I finished that first story and I started to do the second book, I realized that nobody in the world is going to sit down to read a book this thick. You understand? So I said, okay, I'm going to have to do, instead of a full length novel, how about chapter novels? So that's what I had to do. And that's how the stories end up breaking up into different chapter novels.
Mm.
Now, the first one, Prophecy of a Planet, which is this one, The Meeting, okay? This one takes place at it's not here on Earth. The entire story doesn't take place here on Earth. I wanted to get, if I was going to change things, I wanted to start from scratch. So, book one explains the planet, a little bit about the galaxy, the people, and the clans, how many clans there are on this planet, how many domains they are, and where the domains are, the size of the planet. So book one gives you a, a, a brief introduction to the world. Book one also introduces the first four members of Planetean, which they are the ones that are going to start all the battlings that is about to take place. Now, Matoka is the main character in book one. Matoka comes up with a plan in book one, tells them his plan in book one, and tell them at the ending to basically do as I say, or I'll kill you. With very little. Matoka is a kind, I write Matoka to be the villain of the story that you love to hate. Because the stuff that, when you read the stories, the stuff that Matoka does in the story, you're like, that's cold, man. That's just cold. Anyway, so book one is about Matoka's plan and what its plans are for the four clans on Ica domain. All right. So this is book two, Prophecy of a Planet, Ambush Veloian. Now, book two it mentions Matoka, it mentions the Adeans, but in book two, you learn about this character here, Bolero. Let's see if you can see it better. You learn about her. You learn about her family, the structure of the clan. You learn how they integrate with each other. You learn how they play, how they battle, how they die. You learn a little bit about the planet. You learn a little bit more about the planet. And you learn a little bit more about the great battle that was talked about in book one.
Mm.
And as each book continues, now, again, this book is only about the Veloians. So it's an introduction, and at the same time, it also opens up the beginning of Matoka's plan. So in this book, you see Matoka's plan going to work. In book three, which is Prophecy of a Planet, Betrayed from Within. I don't know if you can barely see those words, but
yeah, yeah.
Betrayed
That's
from
okay.
Within. So in this book, it's, again, just like book two, it's about the decams. Decams are, if you look at them, they're like dwarfs. Think of them like dwarfs. Everybody on, okay, before I go there. So the decams, you learn about how Matoka's plan unravel in book 3 for the decams. Now, each story gives you a little bit about the dark, the great battle. So in book 1, Draker talks about the great battle, but Draker talks about the great battle from his point of view. Starry, who is also in book 1, remembers a little bit about the great battle from her point of view. Jar, another person, you learn about the great battle from his point of view. In book 2, the Valorians, same scenario, but you learn about the great battle. Oops, sorry. Sorry. So you learn about the great battle from the Valorians' point of view. So basically, as they're rushing into the battle, what they're telling you is what they're seeing. The decans, well, okay, so they talked about it a little bit in this book, but the main part of it is in book 4. So you have to wait to book 4 to see what happens from their point of view of the great battle. So each story, it's not, you know how when some people read a book and they can pick up the 5th book and basically have an idea what happened in the first 4 stories?
Yeah, not this one.
No, I designed it so even if somebody was to confiscate the story and try to say, oh, I can write this myself, they would have to explain, 1, where the characters came from, 2, how they came about, 3, why are they doing what they're doing, and then if the story, each book takes on their own life. So you can't just take the story and say, oh, I know where this is going and I can do this with it, because every time I go back and rewrite something, it changes and it takes on a different life form. And once I change one part, everything else, it's a repercussion. So
Wow.
everything, even if you wrote, I'm writing book 4, and then you say, oh, I can write book 6, something in book 5 will change that will completely divert from book 6.
Yeah. So you can't predict this.
You cannot predict.
Just like life. You can't predict where you're going to be tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you. And that's why I kind of came up with this idea of writing a book this way. You know, it's very, and not just that, but it also grabs people's attention. Because if you give everybody everything at one time, they lose interest.
It's like a love story. It's a Hallmark.
Oh my God, please tell me about that. My wife loves that Hallmark. Ooh, baby.
It's just the content. You know what? Okay. I have to say I am on her side. I'm on her side. You know why I'm on her side? Because romance never changes.
That's true.
And if she's looking at a Hallmark and then looking at you like this, then you got some work to do, brother.
Oh yeah, trust me. I know. I get in on some of it too when she's watching it. And there's sometimes when they say something and I just look at her and I'll be like, hey. Yeah, she's like, no, I'm watching TV.
Like, no, you can't do this, darling. Don't even try.
Not right now.
Not right now. Right now, I'm watching Hallmark. Go away.
Exactly.
But I am on her side. I love the cringy, I guess, love stories that are so predictable because women like that. But then you have life. And that's what you're doing. You're basing your books on real life circumstances that possibly maybe happen on a different planet per se, but still on that pattern of tomorrow may be totally different than today. And you can't just base it on this. So it's not a Hallmark story. I'm so sorry, Hallmark.
Oh, that's okay. No, I'm not going to knock it. I love Hallmark stories too, because when she's watching, I will come in and one thing I like about the Hallmark story, they have a tendency of grabbing your attention, even if you don't want it to happen.
Exactly.
you know? So that's one of the things that I like about my stories, because I will give my story to someone that doesn't like science fiction, but if they start reading
I
one of
get it.
it, they want to know, they want more. Now, it's not to say that they're going to love science fiction, but it grabs their attention. And be like, well, what happened here?
Well,
Who
see
did
that
this?
you
And
got the
who?
Hallmark story formulat. What
I,
was it?
I, I
Formulat.
guess I do. I didn't even realize I actually have that.
I just made up my own word, formulat. I'm just
That
sorry.
that's no, that's good.
A formula.
Creativity. People do that.
Right. But you know, that formula, that Hallmark formula, that one that grabs you, you literally kind of maybe unconsciously grab that.
I believe I did. I didn't even realize. I didn't realize until you just said that. I
See?
never thought about that. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, you know, you're not stealing on the actual
Oh
design
no.
of, you know, or the writing or anything like that. But that formula of grabbing people in the first 30 seconds or the first couple of pages of a book, that's a formula that, you know, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I mean, you know,
That
literally just go ahead and use it.
that formula, actually, to tell you the truth, comic books.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody out there ever read a comic book when they were younger, their first the first page or the first two pages, if it doesn't jump out and grab you, you're not interested in the comic book at all.
That's right.
Even the cover, if the cover doesn't grab you, you won't be interested.
That's right.
So I learned that part from reading comic books and watching comic books from when I was growing up.
Comics started a lot of stuff for everybody. You have back in my day it was Fat Albert, and it was the comic.
Oh
It
yeah,
was I'm gonna take a show for you, you know.
that Albert and
I
Cosby
know
Kid.
Fat Albert.
Oh
And you
man,
have,
I love me
I
some
mean,
Fat Albert.
oh my gosh, there was just so many different comics, and then you had, you know, I mean, I was outdoor kind of girl. I mean, back when we were born, I mean, I'm maybe aging myself here.
Oh
Um,
no,
but
I'm in the same.
okay, so in the 70s,
Yes,
I was like outside making mud pies and inside only when the right comic show or cartoon show came on. And then once it
exactly.
went off, I was out back outside again. It was
Yes,
like you knew
mhm,
you were going to be home inside the house for maybe an hour,
yes,
maybe an hour, and then you were right back outside.
that's true. That's
You know,
true.
or you read, you know, as young as 5 and 4 years old when the Sunday paper came. Oh, it was over. It was over. You had to get the comic section, you know?
Oh yeah,
Oh my
my
gosh. Oh yeah.
mine was mobile Dennis the Menace,
Yep.
that dog, Mal something, and the one with the military outfit,
Yes.
the sergeant always getting in trouble. Yeah, I read, yeah, every Sunday.
Every Sunday. And every
Yeah.
Sunday I would get my every Sunday I would have to have my hair pressed.
Okay, well,
So
yeah.
she would divert me with the comics and then burn the back of my ears.
Oh God, that brings back some memories. I
Oh,
remember
with
my
the
sisters
high
getting their
comb.
hair pressed.
I get your hair pressed. Yep.
Yep, I remember that. Yep, that brings back some memories, man.
Oh my gosh. But at the same time, it's like, you know, these are the way, and I believe this is the way you pattern your books. It's after real life. I mean, literally, you cannot predict what's going to happen. Who are you going to meet? Where are you going to end up? Are you going to be okay? I mean, you really don't know. You just have to live your life. And your books mimic that. And if that is the case, I think I like your books already.
Thank you. I appreciate it. The this one, the one that you was talking about at the beginning, a conflict of interest.
Hmm.
Okay, remember I said that the book was birthed in the bar.
Yeah.
This is the one.
Wow.
This is the one that was birthed in the bar. Three of us sat there, and I went home that night until about 2 o'clock in the morning. Then I wrote 20 something pages. They weren't, I mean, there was a lot of errors in it. I'm not going to lie, but the words flowed. I just kept typing, and I knew I messed up, but I just had to get the idea out of my head. And it was like, if you go to sleep, you're going to lose it. So I was up until 2 o'clock that morning. I had to get up like about 6 o'clock to go to work for that morning. And I went to bed at 2:30, woke up like about 6, get ready to go to work the next morning.
Mm.
You understand? And then on the way to work, I started writing comic books. So
Mm.
it took me an hour to get to work by train sometimes, because anybody in New York City knows New York City trains. They are the best transportation in the world. So with that said, when you get on the New York City train, if you get a seat, you got nothing but time. I used to sit there, open up my bag, and start write my comic books. I would have 3 different color pens: black, green, red, and blue. 4 different color pens. Black would be narrator, red would be action, blue was the what the character said or did, you know, and the last color was what was happening in the scene. So like I said, mimic a lot from actual comic books and put my own ideas together, and that's how all of these stories started.
My God.
That's how they all started.
Wow. Wow. Well, we ran out of time. And
I'm
it's like,
sorry.
I could just sit here and talk to you about all the books and about how you do things. But the most important part is you did it and you're doing it.
I'm
And
doing it.
every time you get stuck, you just start something fresh.
Something different. Yeah. Don't stop.
Don't stop.
Don't stop.
Uh,
So many artists and actors have said it over the years. Don't stop. Because the minute you stop, that's when you're defeated. That's when you defeat yourself. And a
mm.
lot of people say, oh, the devil made me do it. Nah, the devil just suggested you to do it. If you stop, that's you. That's on you. You understand? Because if you go down there to hell and the devil, you look at the devil in the eye and say, yo, man, you made me miss out on so and so. You know what the devil's gonna say? Yo, all I did was just suggest you to do it. I didn't make you do anything. You understand? So a lot of people, they have to look themselves in the mirror and say, okay, wipe your tears and all right, let's do this.
Do it. Let's do
Seriously,
it.
let's do this. Yes.
Wow. Well, I want to thank you, Anthony, for being on the show, man. I tell you, how can people find you?
Oh, okay. My website is DIYHA family stories.com. And if you look up Anthony B. Smellie on Amazon.com, all 5 of my stories will pop up. All 5. Three the 3 Prophecy of the Planet, the children's story, David and the Wizard, and A Conflict of Interest, which anybody who loves sci-fi will actually love this book, because the United States battle the United States. Read to find out how they do that.
Oh my
Yeah, baby.
goodness.
I'm
Well,
telling you, right? I have a crazy imagination.
that's good.
Crazy.
That's
And I
really
like
good.
it. Yes,
And
thank you.
I want to thank you so much again for being on the show, Anthony, and for having that imagination and for inspiring people. I have about 6 books, and they're not complete because I kind of felt bad about starting
Yeah.
6 different stories because I can't really focus on one story for too long before I get another one, and then I want to go back to that one, and I go back. So now I know that's normal.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, like, if you get stuck on one, the idea, when you're writing this story over here, the idea for this story will pop up. You could stop this one and pop it in, and then while you're writing this one, the idea for this one will pop up. You
Mm.
understand? So it works, and eventually you might have to say, okay, wait a minute, too much ideas and you're getting confused. Just take a break, step away from it for a little bit, and
Go ride a
take a
roller
breather.
coaster.
Yeah, go on a roller coaster. Yeah, go up and down and up and down. just hold yourself. Okay.
Anthony, thank you so much. I had an amazing time with you. Thank
I
you so
appreciate
much.
it.
Oh
Thank
my
you.
gosh.
I
Thank
appreciate you. Thank you very much.
No problem. Anytime. We're going to have all of his information about his books and his website in the description box below. So it'll be easy for you guys to go ahead and check it out for yourselves. And if you're getting stuck, don't worry. Just start something fresh. You'll get to it. It'll happen. And if anything, go ride a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Be like, don't do that. Oh my gosh. I gotta go and I'm probably gonna hang out at Universal really soon. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. It's a universal getaway for me. I'm telling you. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in and don't forget to dare to be different. Until next time, guys. Bye.
Bye. Take
No,
care.
no roller coasters.